Howdy, Beaverlowbart here, and welcome. Seems like things are a little bit slow kicking off there, but welcome to Sunday. And what I wanted to talk about was the current state of what I'm doing game-wise, and the future for what I want to do, and where I'm going to go with this. And also about the current state of the way games are being created nowadays. And you know, that's kind of the first thing is, honestly, the way games are being created now, it's still looked at as there's a lot of console stuff that's out there. There's less that is done on PC. So, I don't play consoles. I don't care about consoles. They play no part of my life whatsoever, so I'm not going to develop anything for consoles. My prerogative. That's just what I want to do. And the reason for that is not just that I'm old and finicky and don't care about anything. One second. So, consoles, they come and go. Xbox 360, Xbox whatever, PlayStation 4, 5, 9, 7, who cares? Who keeps up? They keep updating the consoles every other year or so, and you have to keep buying all new equipment. Whereas if you buy and build one good computer now, that computer is going to be good for at least 3 to 5 years. So if you build it right to begin with, then that's the thing, you know. Not to mention the hassle you have to go through to get games put up on consoles. So I'm not going to get into it. So all future content that I will be doing will be based 99.9% on PC only. And there might be some Android interaction as well. So you can get an app for your phone that will let you keep tabs of things inside the game, which I think would be a nice touch. As for iPhone, no. Again, my prerogative. I don't like Apple. I don't like Apple products. I don't support anything they do, so there will be no Apple support or Mac support or iPhone support or whatever. It's PC and Android. And no, I'm not a Google fanboy, even though they are less than 20 miles away from me. So, games. What I've noticed a lot of is big game companies, and I'm not going to call any names. You know who they are. They produce what's called what I call fire and forget games. They throw out games, and I will mention some examples. Look at the previous Tiger Woods games. How many versions based on the year? Or Madden football games. Madden football 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, whatever. Every year they're coming out with a new version. You have to go out and just buy a whole new game. To me, that just doesn't make sense. Because they were targeted for consoles, it was less easy for them to update content. So therefore, that's why they were doing that. And the PC world, we get sloppy seconds. And that just kind of torques my nuts a little bit. And why should PC gamers get sloppy seconds whenever it comes to a game? You know, I want my games to be out on PC. I don't want them to be a port over from console to PC. No. If later down the line there's just so much interest that I just have to do something on console, then it will be a port over from PC, not a console ported to PC. So my primary content is going to be PC, and it's going to be Android only. Part of the thing that I have against consoles is the current trend, and this is the way it's been for a number of years. And this has been a big thing for the millennials and their brood or their offspring. The younger generations now it's easier for the parents to just throw a video game console at their children and let that be a babysitter. Well, if I buy them this Xbox 390, 4, whatever, they'll shut up and leave me alone. Oh, well, if I buy them this $60 game, they'll shut up and they'll leave me alone. And I can just do my thing, and I don't have to worry about them. That's a problem. Whenever I was in school, yes, we had schools back then. We'll say back in the 80s, while I was in high school, there was no such thing as school shootings. Why? Because there wasn't so many people being politically correct. If somebody was being a bully, well, you just found another bully to kick their ass. You know, I was one of those people that I got bullied by not people in my own age group. It was in older generations. For example, I was in the 5th grade and got my ass kicked by 3 people that were in high school. Really? Okay. Bullies will be bullies. That's one thing. But 3 of them versus, 3 high school kids versus a 5th grader. Not a real big challenge there. Well, after going through that, I went through martial arts for several years, and I learned how to defend myself. And there were several cases where my friends were being bullied. So what did I do? I went over and kicked the bully's ass. So that's what I did. I targeted those bullies. Well, that's the thing, is people nowadays are just getting soft. Welcome, guys. People are soft today, and everything is too politically correct, and that's just annoys the crap out of me. I don't want to get on a big soapbox about that because, honestly, that's just whatever, that's just going to happen. But we have to change the mentality of not just people in general, but gamers in general. So we need to look at games. Thanks. I'm welcome. There's casual gamers, then there's pro-level gamers, and then there's wannabe pro-level gamers. There's people who like hardcore gaming, there's people who don't. And my whole idea is to come up with content game-wise that is going to allow for the casual gamer to sit back and do their thing, socialize when they care to socialize, play by themselves whenever they want to play by themselves, join their friends, make new friends, things of that nature. So more of a community aspect, and to bring people as part of the community and focus less on the general douchebaggery. Yeah, okay, there'll be combat, there'll be shooting, there'll be fighting and things of that nature, but I want to start looking at ways of actually going in and decreasing the amount of benefits to being a general douchebag. So, and I also want to get people's thoughts on that. What do you think would be a good type of way of contouring people's attitude? Because we as game developers, and we as people who are gamers, we need to help to guide the community into a better way of thinking. Because honestly, really and truly, I don't know about you guys, but I don't watch TV. I have no use for a television. Many of you know that I stayed to assist my elderly mother, and she watches TV. And every time I walk through that room, go check on her, whatever else, all I hear is commercials on TV, and nobody likes commercials. Whereas, hell, you can right here on YouTube, I'm sure, the majority of people watching this video are running an ad blocker. Hell, I run an ad blocker. I came to YouTube to watch free entertainment, and I don't want ads. And I don't have any monetization on my videos whatsoever, and not just because the YouTube sponsorship deal that changed everything. There is too many people trying to get a free ride out of the system on things. So I just want to help to change people's mentality and try to reward people for, if you see a down teammate, to go out of your way to revive them, or if you're a medic class, to go over there and heal somebody else, or if you're an engineer or whatever, you can deploy ammo, then you go out of your way to help somebody who's requesting ammo, things of that nature, just whatever, just to help somebody else, and you get rewarded for helping other players. So you'll be looking more towards doing that player assist and working together as a team one way or another. So as for games, sorry, what I'm doing is I'm preparing a new project here that I'm getting ready to redo the entire simple multiplayer template. I like the way that it is, but I want to go ahead and update it a little bit, because pretty sure we're going to have a new version of Unreal Engine 4 coming soon, and I want to revamp it so I'm not using the advanced sessions whatsoever. I want to use regular online, regular stuff, and I want to use it with no plugins, in other words, because I was unable to put my stuff on my current simple multiplayer template onto the marketplace just because of the fact that it uses third-party plugins that honestly should be part of the frickin' Unreal's development suite to begin with. So I did not mean to put that in there, so let's move that up there. So whenever I'm creating a project, the first thing I do is I go through and I create my assets folder, characters folder, UMG folder. If I'm going to use the third person template, I'm going to leave the mannequin folder alone, but I'm going to go ahead and, if you look at the third person, I'm not going to be using these meshes right here, so I don't need anything in that third person folder. Now, the trouble is, whenever I go to delete these things, and I could say force delete, but it doesn't get rid of the damn folder. It's annoying as crap. I don't need that. I don't need the maps folder, so I can get rid of those. I'm not going to use the third person example map. I'm going to make my own stuff. So I want to trim the fat, so to speak, and get as much out of here. Whenever I do my first build on a project, I don't use starter content. I don't use anything at all. I use a blank project. And it's like this. I've got character and third person game mode. So I'll come back over here and create another one, which I will call game modes. I'll probably change the name of that to something different. And then we'll go into our characters and we'll create a blueprints folder. It's all part of getting organized. So on third person, I'm going to grab my third person blueprint and I'm going to move that to here. Now, I haven't changed the name of anything yet, so everything is going to be default. And I'm going to move this to game modes. Because what will happen is if I change my third person character, then I'm going to run into problems with my, and I don't need this folder here anymore either, my animations, animation blueprint. Because your regular default animation blueprint is referring to the, would you just go back to the normal thing? I don't need you open. It's going to be referring to stuff that's going to be, well, in this case, you got try get pawn owner. And see, I don't like the way that this is laid out. So what I usually do is I come in here and I delete the comment blocks on this animation blueprint. And depending on what I do later on, I usually also clean it up to the point where I don't even use this one. I use the a combination of the animation starter pack and this. But I just want to neaten things up. No, asshole. Do what I tell you to do. So how's everybody doing this evening? And what kind of stuff we working on? So we're just neaten things up just a little bit. Make the blueprint, to me, a little bit easier to read and follow. Because that's all there is in the third-person animation blueprint for the regular base animations. I don't know why I needed to compile anything. Well, you know, being ass deep does sound kind of terrible. Unless you're like balls deep. Work on your character to farm rocks with a pickaxe. The theory of that, Noah, seems really, really simple. You know, basically you have your animation. So whenever you say, okay, I'm going to mine that rock, you look at the rock and then you perform your animation, or your like left mouse button or whatever, and tell it to go ahead and do that. Well, you know, it's good to have a Discord channel. I like having mine. But you're still listed as community contributor on mine, so you'll quit frickin' leaving it. You'll keep that. But yeah, I mean the basic principle of doing something like that, of mining with a pickaxe or whatever else. Didn't I tell you to get rid of that folder too? Well, you know, thanks for stopping in, John. Yeah, you're always welcome here. Using Notify for telling it when to collect and when to check if I'm continuing farming. Well, essentially, I would just set it to where whenever, hey, autosave, you can go away now. Just whenever you perform the action, it's just going to act similar. You can do it as a collision box, or you can say use a collision box to say that you're within range of the rock, and that you then just set up a variable to say that yes, I can now harvest that rock. So, all right, save all. And no, I don't want to save all just yet because I'm not really doing anything with this map. Let's actually just do this, and it's just a static mesh. We don't want that static mesh at all. Yeah, essentially, well, let me save this map here, and I didn't create my maps folder yet. Alright, so save this, save selected, maps, test map. I said capital M, you asswipe. Alright, so essentially what you would do is, you know, with something like that, and this is just going to cover the real core basics of, I'm just going to create a temporary blueprint, and we'll call it an actor. We're going to call this a rock. It's not even spelled correctly, but I don't care. Having some issues today. So add a component, and this is going to be our rock, and we're going to move it up a little bit. And then we're going to add a component of a box collision, or you could use a sphere collision or whatever else. Doesn't really matter, but we're going to do, we'll say 3 by, damn you, 3 by 3 by 3. It's over exaggerated too, but there we have that. And essentially all you would do is going to come in here, and we're going to get rid of, pretty much get rid of everything. And it's going to zoom in. We're going to grab our box collision, just right click and add event on component begin overlap. Then you come off from the other actor, cast to third person character. And we don't have a variable yet, so we need to actually go into our third person character and quickly create a variable. And that variable will just say can mine rock. This is very basic. And we're going to come back to that. I want to clean that up too. And then we'll just say set can mine rock. And then, just to make sure we're good, on our box, we're going to add another component, we're going to add another event on component end overlap. And essentially we can just copy this and paste here. We're going to check that box, connect this to here, other actor to the object, and uncheck it. So what it is now, when we're overlapping that box, we can mine the rock. But if we walk away from that, then we can no longer mine the rock. So that's all we need for the rock itself, even though I did spell it incorrectly. Now you could also add in, and I wouldn't do it in here, there are good places to actually put it, to actually say how much, like, health, essentially, the rock has. Sorry, noisy. Let's close down our rock. Look at our character. Well, first off, again, I'm not using a touch input, so I'm dumping that. I'm not using a gamepad, so I'm dumping that. And I'm not using VR, so I'm dumping that. And grab these because I have way too many OCDs. Move that over there, and I'll move that over there. So, now, essentially, we want to have something just to show that we're able to mine that rock. So I'm going to grab our rock, and we're going to throw it into the map. Probably make it a little bit bigger. I mean, this is just for whatever. So I want some kind of effect, and I don't have any starter content, so for now I'm just going to add starter content. I'm probably going to end up deleting this project anyway, but I'm going to add content, starter content, add a project, just so I can get a sound or I can get something. I'm part of this end of the game of what I want to create. I'm changing my whole storyline, and I'm revamping a lot of stuff of what I'm doing on my game, but the whole point of what I'm going to be doing is following my initial storyline that I created about a year ago. We just want to create two sounds here. Explosion and collapse. That's good enough, because we can use explosion for now we can mine, collapse for now we can't mine. Dorky, but whatever. It'll get the point across. I'm actually gonna rename this because it's gonna bug me if I have it spelled incorrectly, because you know who can't spell rock. It's R-O-K, right? We can add in a play sound at location. The sound we want is explosion for, okay, now we can mine, and for now we're going to use what did I say? I was going to use collapse for when we're not. I'm using a sound cue. I mean, you can use it whatever you want. I'm just playing around here. Now, one thing I didn't do is set on my world settings. We're using third-person game mode. So now we can go in and we can actually have a character. So now you see pretty much that now we can mine. Now we can't mine. We're out of range. I just use the audio cues just for something to be very obvious. A game where I had mining in it. Never played Firefall, but and you see that's annoying as crap on the sounds, I know, but you get the point of now I'm able to mine, and then you can use oh, that's not a problem. like left click would then perform the animation to begin mining, and you're swinging your pickaxe and so forth. And now each time, and just for giggles here, I don't have any animations in this project. This is just something I was throwing together while I was talking here. But since I did put the starter pack in here, I have some particles, whatever. We can use that instead of sound files for right now. Particles, we can use the explosion. That'll be good enough. So, let's see. Go on a keyboard. Now let's actually use left mouse button. So now when I click the left mouse button, it's going to simulate that it will be firing off an animation. You want to set this up from an animation blueprint. Oh yeah, I've seen that in other games before, where you call something down, it actually does the mining for you. But just for argument's sake here, we're going to do a print text. We're going to say I am mining, and we'll change the color to whatever, and duration we'll set it to 5 just so we can see it longer. Just going to print text in the upper left hand corner of the screen, and then we're going to let's not play animation. Well, you would set up your animation through your animation blueprint for whenever you do perform this action, but for this case we're just going to do just something of visual reference. So spawn emitter, yeah, we'll just spawn emitter at location just to have something to do. Now, Rust was a potentially good game, but just like with other games, the longer they kept producing more and more features for it, the worse it got. Just so we can have some variation here also, I'm going to bring in a branch node, and we don't want this to work unless we're actually mining. So let's grab in a get can mine rock, and we're going to put this branch node in here first. So we're going to check, and if we can, then we're going to do that. And I'm going to get rid of the sounds off of the rock now, so that we don't have those anymore. We got the idea that we can now mine the rock. So we can actually just use a sound instead of the emitter. So I'm going to actually do that instead, and we're going to play sound at location. Now this will be fine because we're just screwing around solo. However, if you want to make sure you got the correct location, you could actually grab a reference to your mesh, and then you can get world location, and then connect that into the location for it. Especially good if you're using sound attenuation, which I recommend that you do. Is sound attenuation, if you're going to be setting up multiplayer, means that you're only going to hear that in a certain distance away from the action that's being carried out. So we're going to use the explosion sound cue. So every time we quote unquote click to mine, we can actually say, okay, now we can do this. But if we do it right now, I'll show you what's going to happen. We need a delay timer in here. So if we're right over here now, we can't mine the rock, but now we can. See, I am mining, I am mining, I am mining. So that we can set it up to where we know that we're not in range. We can actually say here, we can Control C, Control V. Let's put another print text in and link that down here. And we're going to say, instead of I am mining, I am not in range. You could say get closer, asshole, but you know, I'm not in range is probably a little bit more user friendly. So now, next thing I'm going to do is, because I freaking hate this stupid bug here, open level blueprint, begin play, set input to game only. I could have put this in the character, which probably would have been better to do anyway, but this is the only map I'm going to use anyway, so get player controller, yeah. This is actually best used inside of the player character, but I'm just going to do it in here just because I'm only going to have one level. So set, no, you got to come off of this one and set show mouse cursor. Want that to be false, and then compile and save. So now if we come in here and start playing, we're not close enough to the rock. So I'm not in range, I'm not in range, I'm not in range. But now I get up close enough, I can, oh, I am mining. So you wouldn't want to necessarily say that I'm not in range, I'm not in range. But you get the idea of, if I'm not in range to actually hit the rock, it's not going to do anything whenever I use my left mouse button. You don't really want it to say anything, but I just wanted you to see that that's what would happen. Now, if you get close enough, now you can actually say that, okay, now I'm mining. So a player doesn't sit there and rapid spam left mouse button. You can actually put in a delay system. So you would actually grab all this junkola right here. And what you want to do is check to see if it's capable of doing that. So for right now, I'm just going to drag this over here, and I'm going to put you underneath there. We know what you're there for. And we're going to come in here and put in another branch node for a variable we haven't created yet. So at the end of all of this is where we're going to put one, and we're going to get the get version of it here. New variable, action delay. I'm using which plugin? We're going to call this action OK. This is just one way of doing this. We're going to check to see if we're able to do that. And then if you want to set up an action delay timer or whatever else, but you don't really need to worry about it. But we're coming here and we'll set a delay. And we're going to have a 1 second delay just for exaggeration. And then we're going to set our condition to action OK. Now, what is the problem of doing this here? We're setting that as OK, but we're going to have to do one other thing, because what happens is now we're actually asking if we can do it. Well, we can't, because nothing is ever told to us that it was okay to do it to begin with. So what we need to do is make sure off the event begin play, and I'm going to go ahead and do this. Oh, we don't need the no. I keep moving things around and forget where I'm going with this. Alright, so right here we need to, if we're okay to do our action, then we need to tell it to know that now we no longer can until we finish doing our action, And then a second later, all right, ladies, you want to keep the conversation about what the hell my video is about? This is my video after all. All right, y'all done? Okay, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of rude to sit here and be carrying on a conversation in my fucking video. It's not really nice. Yeah, if you're going to talk about something, talk about what's going on my video. Well, yeah, this is a YouTube video, so that's kind of what the point of my video is about my content. And I'm not trying to be rude, but it is kind of rude to be carrying on about something totally different other than what's going on here. I wouldn't go to your video and do that same thing. It's just no bueno, man. Well, it is a live stream, and I have a lot of people who don't watch it while it's live. They come back and actually watch my streams later. Because most people don't actually have time to watch it whenever I'm watching it. And even though it's 9:30 on Eastern Standard Time, they actually are in different time zones in different parts of the world. So it's as much as 12 hours different for some of the viewers. So it's actually 9:30 in the morning for them or other times. So yeah, that's why I do these streams. It's for people to come in and I can teach and share and do things and go over stuff. But she went off on this whole freaking tangent here on helping him with mining, which had no part of what I was doing with this project to begin with. Was trying to help him out. No, I'm not mad. I'm just saying it's just not good ethics. You know, I look at it as a courtesy thing. It would be no different than if I went to somebody else's video while they're live streaming and I started talking about my channel or somebody else's channel or something like that. It's advertising, you know. It's ethics. It's not ethical to sit there and to carry on a conversation separate from what is actually going on. I just want some consideration by people. I know it's crazy to think that you know, I'm asking for consideration from other people, but I mean, no, I was sitting here doing this for you, so I put starter content in a project that I had no use for, and I started making blueprints for something that was totally not what I'm doing with this. You can talk about like this stuff on my Discord channel, not on my live stream. The whole soapbox that I got on earlier about gamers and gaming in general and people in general is there's a whole load of people out there who don't think about anything else or anyone else but themselves, and it's having common consideration and common courtesy for other players and other people. And that was just a good example of it. I'm sitting here doing something for you, and then suddenly now you're carrying on a completely different conversation with somebody else. Well, um, I'm sorry that you're confused about that, but other live streamers that don't care about what's going on in their chat are worthless as fuck. If they don't care about what their viewers are talking about, then why should they even bother having chat to begin with? I could just go back to doing all of my videos pre-recorded, and you can just watch them and post a comment later or get on the Discord and talk about it. But I like to create these live streams where people can actually get in here and actually contribute to the topic at hand, and to help everybody else learn at the same time. So part of my stream is for actually getting out here with people who want to take the time to actually join me during the stream, and that's great. That's what I want. I want people to actually jump in and contribute. But also, I do have a large number of people who do come back later and watch these streams at their leisure because of the time zone differences. This is the time of evening that I like to stream because I'm settling in, I'm relaxing, I'm able to think, and I don't have other things going on. I can dedicate my time and give 100% to what's going on. And I enjoy helping people, and you know, whenever I'm able to think more clearly and do more towards what I'm actually doing, then it's better for my community, for better in general. Because if I get distracted and I'm not paying attention to what's going on, then it kind of makes no point. So I'm not trying to be ungrateful for you guys being here and talking in chat and stuff, but all I request is that if you're going to talk about stuff, talk about what's on the screen. And it's just kind of odd that I'm sitting here doing something to help specifically you, and you just stop paying attention and start carrying on a side conversation. So I don't understand that. And I've had to bring everything to a complete halt on what I was trying to do on this stream to address this. Well, and I guess, and a lot of that also goes back to, like I was saying at the first part of the stream, of people doing more towards being helpful to other people. And if somebody was trying to watch this video and follow along, it would have been distracting for them. To have a little bit of common courtesy towards me, who's taken time out of my day to help people. You know, I've had very few people actually make donations to contribute, to thank me for what I do. I've sold a couple versions of my simple multiplayer template, which I built, and it works. It does a great job. And 2 out of 3 people that purchased it have shit me on money and shortchanged me. And one of them tried to produce a freaking game, which I had the game pulled, because he doesn't have consent to use it. He doesn't have consent to use my software because he didn't finish paying for it. When he finishes paying for it, well, not him, but if anybody else, the other person that shortchanged me, if they actually come through and actually pay me the balance of what they owe, which in the other person's case is only like $2. Big deal, right? But it's the ethics of it. I created the stuff, you purchase it, and you pay the full price for it, then you get a consent to use it for whatever project you want. So what I'm wanting to do here is I'm going to spend my time to actually go back through and revamp my multiplayer system. My old system works. It works great. I mean, I can go into... not worried about this project. I'm only part way through setting it up. The current version that I'm working on is... Alright, well, take care. Alright, so the simple multiplayer template that I've got now This is an updated version for 4.19.2, and I built this last year. I've been making videos on it since January, so I mean, it's a very simple system. I mean, when you hit play, it brings up the. I'll play this in a standalone, so you get the full effect. It requires Steam to be installed and running in the background. You see, without Steam running, you get this error right here. It'll say go connect the Steam dummy, and you get a white image right there. So without Steam running, it still has some functionality, but I want to get rid of all Steam functionality whatsoever and just use a basic online subsystem as much as possible. So I'm going to go in and actually enable Steam, which I did not have Steam on because I just restarted my computer again. So I'll go ahead and connect to Steam, and I'll show you what happens whenever. Alright, screw you, I don't care. And screw you, I don't care. And screw you, I don't care. No, you're not going to be downloading shit right now. Yeah, it's one to download for something right now, and oh hell no, you're not going to download 6 gigabytes of frickin' fractured space that I play once a month. Anyway, so now that Steam is actually running in the background, whenever I go to play it now, it will actually then pull up and use the Steam information. Now, I am planning on releasing my game on Steam, but I also want to release a non-Steam version as well. So you see now that I have Steam playing, I can get the window here. It says access the Steam community. I did also have a friends list right here where it showed your active friends list, but it just seemed kind of unnecessary whenever you can do your little command there and bring that up. But at least now you show your Steam username and avatar, and I wanted it to be able to let you find and play games with other people on your friends list, or just in general like the way it is now. As long as you have Steam running, you can actually put a name in. If you're just going to play single player, then hell, you can just hit single player and just go right into your lobby. And this is all there is. You go into it this way, you hit escape, go back to your main menu, you can find games, and currently right now, whenever you do find a game, the ping is going to show 9999. That's because I don't have a Steam app ID assigned to this project, so whoever's actually purchases this, they would have to purchase their own Steam app ID, which is $100 through Steam, not through me, and then all they have to do is go back into one file and add that number in. So now if I host and I want my friends to find it, give it a name and hit make, and then it goes into it. Now, and I'm sure I probably pissed off John Galt earlier. He's been one of my community contributors. I've been using a lot of his stuff for like capture the flag and things like that, and a current project that's going on. But wasn't trying to piss him off. I was just trying to say that it's not very courteous to be carrying on a side conversation in somebody else's video. So that's the main version right now. Like I said, I made this in January or November or December of last year, I think, and I've been using it ever since, and been using it in various different versions of games that I've created, and it works really good. It's really easy to use. I mean, if you wanted to go in and, like, one of the things that I'm doing is making sure that, because I'm using music in my own versions. Hey Marvin, I want to make sure that I give credit to the place where I get my royalty-free music from, so I grab an image and just throw that in here, and let's scale that up to about there. I'm going to go find that image, which I left that image in here, so there it is, the Technoaxe logo. And just come over here to my brush and hit that arrow. So now that logo's in there. We'll bring it out just a hair to make it look right. Compile and save, and go back in and play it now. And you'll see that logo's in there. The state of games nowadays, there's just so many fire and forget games that have no point. See, there we go. There it is. Now it's covered up by the Steam Access thing, but games nowadays, they lack substance. Showing my age a bit. Back whenever I first started playing with computers and computer gaming and so forth, on the very first computer that I had, the first games were actually put out on cartridge. Yes, cartridge for a computer. Or they were on cassette tape. Yes, cassette tape. Google it if you don't know what it is. So essentially you put this tape into a tape deck or tape recorder, and you typed in on your keyboard on your television for your monitor. It was C-Load M or whatever, and then you would type in that, and essentially you would hit play on and you're playing back the audio from the tape. It's almost like if you've ever heard an old dial-up modem, that weird staticky noisy thing that it plays that sound. That's actually the same principle of what it's picking up and playing through the audio output of a tape deck into the input of your computer for your games. And then later on you started getting them on 5 1/4 inch floppies, 3 1/2 inch floppies, and then CDs, and then DVDs, and then Blu-rays, and then now pretty much everything is digital media. So with that digital media, nobody really buys a hard copy of a game anymore. You go onto Steam and you purchase a game, and there you go, it's there. So now, a year from now, if you build a new computer, you log into your Steam account, and then you download the latest version of the same game that you purchased 2 years ago or whatever. It's a good thing. I got game discs laying around that have gotten damaged and destroyed over years that I can't play them anymore because of fire or damage of some sort or whatever. I can't play those games anymore. They're games that I bought 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, 15 years ago. But things that I purchased on digital media, as long as I can remember my login, I'm good to go. Alright, well, been going for roughly about an hour, and about 20 plus minutes of it was pretty much wasted because I had to stop everything because of stuff going on in chat. So I'm going to go ahead and call it quits. I haven't made a video in a few days because I've been extremely sick. And yeah, I will start getting back onto a normal schedule. I will probably stream again tomorrow though, and we'll actually get more in depth into what I'm actually doing with the game. Alright, but thanks for everybody who watched, and we'll see you next time.